welcome to our Let's Talk Tonight. Man, I love Monday nights. I love getting together with healthy-minded people and getting to discuss all kinds of cool topics. Tonight, it is my privilege to introduce two very special ladies. My name is Nancy Strauss. I've been a coach for a long time, 14 years. Absolutely love what we have the privilege of doing. And some of my favorite parts is getting to bump into lovely ladies like the people that are going to be talking tonight. Oh my goodness, they're so much fun. And every time I meet them, I'm like, it kind of lights you up. So we have events throughout the year, and every time I see them, it's like, there's my people. So don't you just love learning from people that are younger than you and people that are older than you? I mean, if you think about it, there's so much wisdom and so much experience. And I love to hear people talk about that have been through seasons of life and especially seasons of coaching and healthy living. It's been really a privilege to get to know these ladies through the years. But if you think about it, they are a little bit older than me, but I want to grow up and be just like them. And I'm 60. So I was talking to April, and she was saying that she wants to actually grow to be 120 years old. And April is 72, from a little birdie told me. April, I had celebrate. I absolutely love how feisty and sassy you are, and I know you're going to introduce your other guests, but you guys, thank you so much for sharing tonight. We can't wait to hear your stories and your goodness and your wisdom and your experience as you share what it's like and to grow older, yet healthier, sassier, feistier, and you're not going down without a fight. I absolutely love you guys, and I love how you love living your life on purpose and with purpose. So take it away, April Pitcairn. Very nice to see you tonight.
Thank you so much, Nancy. So, with my story, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. 11 years ago, I was 60 and I had tried everything. I had tried Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, HGC. I would lose weight and never reaching my goal. And then I would gain it all back or more. And I thought it was too late, that this was just the way things were going to be once I was in my 60s. So once I started this and started getting more energy and just feeling better about myself, I realized how depressed I had been also. I also started this because I wasn't on any medications at the time, but I knew that if I kept going down the path I was going down, it would just be a matter of time before I was on medications. And as we know, medications don't cure the situation, they just mask it. So I lost 40 pounds in 4 months, and I've kept it off for over 11 years. But the reasons I've been able to keep it off are four reasons. One, I became a coach like a month out of the gate, and that helps keep me accountable. I can't say, oh, this is a great program. I'm fat, but you're going to love it. So I have to walk the talk. Also, at age 72, I believe it truly helps prevent Alzheimer's by learning new things constantly in the coaching world. Number three, outside of my retirement and Social Security, it allows me to travel the world and pay for all the self care that I do. And number four, which is really the most important, it gives me a mission and a purpose. So, next, I want to introduce my friend Carolyn, who decided at age 65 something had to change. 6 years later, everything has changed. And not only has she added years to her life, she's added life to her years. So, Carolyn.
Thank you, April. I'm excited to be here and share a little bit of my story and how much my life has changed. So, like you, I had done every diet out there. I'd done the Slim Fast, the Weight Watchers, the shots. I even came up with that. I did the Deal a Meal with Richard Simmons. That
Ah,
goes
me
way
too.
back. That's that's how many years I've been dieting. So when I came to this, I didn't really know if this was going to work. I didn't know if it was going to be any different than anything I'd ever done. But my daughter had come to us and told us she was expecting a new baby, and I did not think that I would live to see the baby born. That's how desperately overweight I had become. So we found the program, we got started. I started with my husband, and we just had amazing success. Like it was like nothing I had ever done before. The energy that I found. But what I didn't realize 6 years ago, I didn't even know what metabolic dysfunction was. But had been diagnosed with diabetes. I was taking metformin 2 times a day. I was on cholesterol medication. My waist circumference was just disgusting. And I'd been on blood pressure medicine longer than I can even tell you. I don't even know. So I was full blown metabolic syndrome and didn't even know. But over the course of my journey, I had amazing success. I went on to lose 170 pounds, but in 5 months, the diabetes was gone. My doctor took me off my diabetes medication, and then it was just a series of all the other medications were gone. Even last summer, I had my blood work done, and my cholesterol numbers are still improving medication free. And I've been able to keep the weight off now for close to 6 years. And it's just been amazing. I mean, the way I feel now it's just incredible.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So, Carolyn, one of the biggest obstacles when talking with our peers is that they feel it's too late for them. They feel they are maybe predisposed to being genetically unhealthy with diabetes, heart attack, stroke, fatty liver, things like that. How would you address those concerns?
I totally get that. I totally understand it. And so I always refer to my own journey because I can speak with um, the full knowledge of what's actually happened in my life. My father had hit 460 pounds. My mom was close to 300. She was a very large woman. I lived my life blaming them. It was my genetics. That's why I looked the way I did. That's why I gained the weight that I had gained. I lived my life blaming my parents and even my grandmother, who had been over 350 pounds. I just thought this is what my life is going to look like. But boy, was I wrong. Everything about this program changed how I viewed that. Maybe my parents helped form the habits, the way we ate, the things that we chose to eat. I learned those bad habits from my parents, but it certainly was not genetics. And through our program, I've learned that heredity loads the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. And my lifestyle changed everything. It
I love
really, yeah.
I love that saying. That's a great saying. So, what about people that are concerned about their elderly parents? How do you think our program could help them?
Well, when I think about elderly people I've known, they're so sedentary. They almost give up on life. So they're losing muscle because they're not active. They're just and the thing is about older people, I think back to my grandparents and even my mom as she got older, they don't eat well at all. They're not hungry. But if you're not moving and you're not getting up and around, you're not hungry. So they'll might be make an egg for dinner. So they're not eating healthy. They're not, or they'll eat a sweet roll. And then they'll say, I'm not hungry. But our program is based on such great nutrition in small portions. So it's not too much for them to handle. They're going to get all their nutrients, all their protein, vitamins, probiotics in small meal sizes that they're able to handle. It's going to help them build muscle. We know, I mean, at 71, I'm still building muscle. That's never happened in my life, but I'm experiencing it so I can share with confidence that that's going to change. The brain fog goes away. The mental clarity that comes from this program is going to help those people so much. It's going to give them a renewed outlook on life. They're going to get their energy back. And when you start to feel better, you start to move more. And it can just change everything. Age has nothing to do with it.
Right, right. I know my mom was in independent living and I realized they provide their meals. However, they aren't exactly healthy and often, very not protein forward. So I wish I had been able to provide her with our EAAs, our essential amino acids, our whey protein, and other alternatives. So, for instance, my mom was a chocoholic. But I know she would have loved our chocolate brownie bar with 21 grams of protein, and that would have been a far better choice than the M&Ms. And she wasn't overweight, but those choices could have helped her inflammation and certainly her loss of muscle. I mean, she would fall all the time. So speaking of muscle, once we hit the age of 30, we're losing between 3 and 8% of our muscle mass per decade. And people using GLPs, the weight loss drugs, can lose up to 50% of their muscle per year. So the leading cause of death over 80s is complications due to falls, often due to lack of muscle. So we have several options to help build lean muscle mass. For instance, we help people create 3 muscle protein synthesis events per day using our essential amino acids, our whey protein, and low glycemic vegetable and lean protein meals. And speaking of EAAs, for me personally, I couldn't work out at all for about 2 years before I had my hip replacement last year. And after consistently taking the EAAs, my bone density improved. My doctor could not believe it because at my age, you don't usually see it improve. And Carolyn, you were telling me about one of your clients' physical therapy experiences.
Yes, I had a client come to me, and she needed a hip replacement. And her doctor told her that unless she lost 40 pounds, her insurance was never going to pay for her surgery. So we started her on program. She actually had lost 75 pounds by her hip replacement surgery. But what I had done prior to her surgery was get her started on her essential amino acids. She took them leading up to her surgery, following her surgery. But when her physical therapist came to the house for her rehab, he said to her, "You're actually 2 weeks ahead of where you should be in your recovery." Well, there's no doubt in my mind that our essential amino acids have changed all of that. And she has gone on to have a second hip replacement and still taking the essential amino acids. But another thing I'd like to share is my son is full blown diabetic. He's lost some toes. He does get foot ulcers, bad foot ulcers. And they put him out of work for months at a time. So the most recent one literally was from the top of his foot, like a tunnel straight down through the bottom of his foot. It was ugly. I got him going with our essential amino acids, and he has sent me photographs of the circumference shrinking, the depth is shrinking, the healing in that foot is like, because he's had this for years, but the healing he's experiencing now, even his doctors are amazed at what they're seeing. And I know it's those essential amino acids.
That is awesome. That is fantastic. So many people over 70 assume it's too late, when research shows that improving fitness, nutrition, and metabolic health can still produce meaningful benefits. So some of the biggest barriers that people I hear from say that their routines are deeply ingrained, like they eat for comfort. They eat large portions. They have evening snacking. There's sweets, tied to traditions and family gatherings. Changing long-standing habits can feel like giving up part of their identity. Or they'll say, I'm too old to change. Or probably the biggest one, people often believe the damage is done. At my age, why bother? And this is just part of getting old. So, the reality is that healthier habits can improve strength, mobility, blood sugar, blood pressure, energy, and quality of life at any age. So, Carolyn, since many of our friends over 65 are on fixed incomes, what do you tell them about the cost?
Well, I would just experience clients telling me that they're saving money, because when you go to the grocery store these days, the cost of groceries is out of sight. With our program, you don't even have to leave the house. Your food shows up at your door. Gas prices are crazy too. Let's save on gas and groceries, right? You can sit at home, your food's delivered, you don't have to go out for it. And we are just going to change where you do your grocery shopping. So when you start to look at your medical bills, things like copays from poor health, when you start, I mean, I used to have to go to the doctor every 3 months when I was diabetic, every 3 months. Then it went to every 6 months. I don't see them every year now. So, the copays, just the money that they're going to save. Your health is worth so much more. And once they do, I encourage people, try it for a month and then just look at your budget. It's amazing the money that you can save.
Absolutely. Oh, me too. I found that I ended up saving like $200 a month once because I didn't even understand what I was spending before.
Right.
For everything I put in my mouth, anything I got from Costco or Starbucks or whatever. So yeah, most people just don't even know how much they're spending. Okay, so basically, cost is not the barrier. Making a commitment to your health is. So, Carolyn, because we've gotten through the reset, the refine, and the renew process, and let me kind of explain those. So, reset is stabilizing your metabolism and creating momentum, creating a healthier metabolic foundation. Refine is optimizing and personalizing your nutrition and body composition. So you think of it as moving from weight loss to metabolic optimization. Renew is thriving for life, for long-term health and vitality. So because we've gone through the first two phases and now at the renew phase, how do you feel your life is different than if you hadn't found this program?
Everything about my life is different. For one thing, I'm sitting here. I shouldn't be. If I had continued the way I was, I wouldn't be here today. But I get to be an active grandma. I don't have pain. I'm not tired. I have energy. I get to be the grandma that's leading the way. You know, that little baby that was coming is now 5. He's a handful. And I get to have him because I get to coach and work from home. I get to have him 3 days a week. I have the energy to keep up with him. I have the energy to go on vacation and not be the bench sitter. I wasn't living life. Life was happening around me. We'd go to the boardwalk at the beach and I'd sit while they'd go do their thing until I caught up. They were moving on and I'd be on the next bench. So I wasn't living life at all. I joined a gym a couple years ago. At 67, I joined Planet Fitness. Like I'd never belonged to a gym in my entire life. And I enjoyed that. Those are just things, those are big accomplishments. You know, when you get into your 60s and you're doing fun things like that, it's just wonderful to be able to do those things. Um, I I had the experience of getting to go to Paris last year with my daughter for my 70th birthday. And we did a lot of walking. We did a 3-hour walking tour because we loved Emily in Paris. So we had to do that tour. And we did a lot of other walking all over Paris. We were doing 9 to 12 miles a day. And my daughter turned to me and she said, Mom, I'm so proud of you. Most women your age could never do what you're doing. That felt so good. That's how my life has changed. Everything has changed. Even I had a party this past weekend, and I used to dread having the cleanup, doing the stuff that just took that extra energy. It's nothing now. You have the party, you clean up, you have the energy, people are sitting, you're clean. I don't know where the energy comes from, but I'm loving it.
I love that. I feel the same way when I travel. I really do travel the world. And when I look at other, mostly Americans that are about my same age, they're not even keeping up with me in any way, shape, or form. And I don't want to live like that. I want to be able to be very active forever. But I also know the importance of knowing your data. I had never used a smart scale. I didn't understand the importance of knowing your markers, your lean muscle mass, your visceral fat, your metabolic age, and 10 other markers. So you can find those by getting a smart scale, like a $25 Renpho scale from Amazon, or getting an in-body reading at a gym, or a DEXA scan through your doctor. But know your data, because your actual weight is not as important. So I have a lot of people that are at a fantastic weight, but their markers are not good. And we've discussed this many times on these calls, but if you have 3 out of the 5 possible metabolic disorders, which are high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, low HDL, more than a 35-inch waist circumference for a woman, or more than a 40-inch circumference for a man, you have what is called metabolic syndrome. And 9 out of 10 people who have this will die of it, from strokes, heart attacks, all the other things that we mentioned. The number 10 is car accidents. So we actually have clinical studies showing that we can reverse metabolic syndrome, regardless of your age. So for many people over 60, the goal shifts from living longer to living better. And the encouraging news is that healthy habits can support both. So even modest improvements in strength, balance, nutrition, and metabolic health can reduce the risk of falls, can improve energy, and make everyday activities easier. So it's never too late to make meaningful progress. You may not be able to erase every health condition, but you can improve function, independence, and quality of life more than people expect. So, especially being steeped in habits and I'm too old to change, or having that medication mindset instead of the possibility of being freed from medication or preventing things like dementia because your blood sugar has been so balanced. I didn't know that dementia is preventable. It's being called type 3 diabetes. So, our purpose in having this discussion was just to show you that age doesn't matter. If a person wants better health span, we have the solution.
Oh my goodness, ladies. I'm sitting here just blinking back tears. My parents died at my age when they were 60 and 62. And to hear you guys, this is why I do what I do, to help people know that you don't have to just surrender to the getting old thing and expecting to just deteriorate. You guys are so inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. This was loaded. I'm sorry for the tears. I didn't expect that. But it's really precious because even if you're not at this stage of life, you know somebody that is. And so you are so hope giving tonight. So thank you so much for sharing. I love how you were talking about your, this wasn't genetics. This was habits. And you got to turn that bus around and go the other way. And I'm so stinking proud of both of you. Thank you for sharing. Thanks for joining us tonight. I wanted to wrap this up with a bow, just letting you know that tomorrow, Dr. Anderson's Conscious Forum is not going to be going on because of travel. So he'll be back in August. So there will be no Conscious Forum tomorrow afternoon, okay? And also the next Monday, we're going to have our next Let's Talk. It's going to be Science of the Reset. So same station, same time. We are excited to see you guys here next Monday. And I hope you have a wonderful, healthy week. Take care, everybody. Good night.
Right.